involvement in the MLK parade?
So I'm one of the grand marshals this year, but my involvement goes back about a decade or so.
Very good.
I originally got involved. I had to sub one time for Boris Miles at the Frontier Breakfast about 10 years ago. He was supposed to give an MLK speech that morning. He got sick and wasn't able to do it, so he called me about.
How many know it wasn't by chance? How many know? Go ahead.
Al Green did the same thing to me one year, but so I had about 48 hours to write a speech and show up, and got up, and I got up at the podium, and they're all like, what's this white guy doing here talking about MLK, and so anyway, I gave a speech, and it was pretty well received, and so I think Al Freeman was in the audience, as I recall. And so Al asked me to come to the Grand Parade breakfast the following year and give that speech again. So that's how I really got involved. It was, I guess,
cool.
7, 8, 9 years ago, something like that.
Shout out to Al
Very
Freeman.
cool.
So it has nothing to do with your last name being King. I think that's
They might have a plate
You know what I'm saying?
in
We
that.
can easily be related, I promise you.
Who knows? Who knows? I guess people would wonder if Mr. Boris couldn't be available, why would they choose you? I need people to get a little backstory about who Bill King is in the community, and again, why they would choose you to substitute.
Well, I think actually it was Boris that chose me. Actually,
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd helped Boris in his campaigns in the past, and I'd gotten introduced. I think probably Rodney originally introduced me to Boris, and Rodney and I were business partners, and so I had met Rodney through Mickey Leland many years ago.
Okay.
And so I just kind of gotten familiar, acquainted with some of these guys. And so anyway, Boris, I think, he's got a great sense of humor. So I think he's kind of thought that this tall, gray-headed white guy standing up and giving the MLK speech at Frontier would just be kind of a fun thing to set off. And so that's what happened, and led to my involvement with Grant, which has been fabulous. I've been involved almost every year since. And
Very cool.
It's such a fun event. I mean,
I've never been, but I have been told. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, there's people cooking along the
Yeah.
way, and just all kinds of
Having
fun
a good
stuff going
time.
on. Yeah, absolutely.
How important is it for you to continue to be involved in the MLK parade every year? How important is that for you?
I think it's important to keep his legacy alive because I grew up in a Baptist church. And so his message was so grounded in Scripture and the Gospel.
You talking about Martin Luther King?
Exactly. It really resonated with me, although, I grew up in a very white, suburban kind of family, so wasn't really that acquainted with many African Americans. The school I was in was integrated when I was in, probably like 8th or 9th grade, but out of 600 kids, we had like 4 or 5 black kids. And so I really wasn't very familiar with African American culture. And but his message reached across those cultural lines.
That's right.
Primarily because it was based on Scripture and Gospel, which is something I'd grown up. We used to get silver dollars for remembering Bible verses back in the day. And so these great universal truths that are in the Gospel, he used that to preach this message, which I think is why it reached so many people that were not African American.
And particularly you.
Yeah,
It reached
exactly.
you.
Mr. King, I got a question for you. Me, I'm all about the MLK parade. I was actually the Grand Marshal last year, so I know exactly what you're about to go through. It's going to be a lot of kids, a lot of family, a lot of schools, a lot of everything all in one place, so you have a good time. I'd like to ask people, how'd you get to where you're at? You didn't become Bill King overnight, so how did Bill King get to be that prominent person that get chose to speak at the MLK?
Give us some of your accolades. Some people that don't know.
Well, I don't know that I'm all that prominent. I appreciate the
Oh,
thing
you
that-
prominent.
When people vote for you, when you have people
Come
vote
on.
for you,
Yeah.
that means
You
you're doing
somebody.
something right.
That's right.
Thanks, I appreciate that. I went to the University of Houston. I got an undergraduate degree in political science, and so I've always been interested in politics. And I grew up in a working class family. My dad was a union pipe fitter, and so I worked my way through school. My dad's idea of helping out with college education was to get me a job working as a pipe fitter apprentice in the summers. But back in those days, I could work as a pipe fitter apprentice in the summer and earn enough money to stay in school 9 months. Kids can't do that today.
That's true.
I mean, I got some kids going out to U of H. I mean, if I wasn't able to help them, I don't know how they'd do it. And it's not right that
If you weren't able to help them,
Yeah.
what are you doing in the community and education?
Well, I'm talking about my kids.
Oh, your
Yeah,
kids.
yeah,
Oh,
no.
So wishing
okay,
at U of
I'm
H
sorry.
ain't cheap.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
we're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
That's
We're
what
talking
I'm
about,
saying. Yeah, it's
President Couture and everybody
Right.
over there at U of H, the tuition is
Yeah.
not
Now,
cheap.
let me tell you, as I recall, when I went to law school over there, I think it was like $175 a semester, and then the books, law books are expensive. They were about the same amount, but it was like, it was less than $500 a semester.
Right.
You go get a law education, And for somebody that came out of a working class background, it was important. And when these kids now are getting out of school with $30, $40, $50,000 in debt, that's not right. You know, we need to, we got to put the resources.
And that's
so
why I
people
push the
can-
military so much, man.
Right.
School's free.
Yeah.
Go fight for your country real quick, come back, go to school
That's
forever.
a good way to do it. That's a great way to do it.
Everybody's,
Yeah.
some people are afraid to do that.
that.
With you, I need you to also let people know that you were the mayor. What were you of Kemah?
I was the mayor of Kemah, yeah, which is my hometown. That's where I grew up. Yeah.
We
It
like
was, it was a
Kemah.
great place to grow up. We lived a block off the water, and so I spent all my summers down, you know, fishing, boating, and shrimping, and all kinds of stuff like that. And it was just a fabulous place to grow up. You know.
Mr. King, what's next for you? Because if you were the mayor of Kemah, and then shortly after you ran to be the mayor of Houston, that lets me know that you always like reaching for bigger, better things. So what's next for you, Mr. King?
Well, I'm gonna look at the mayor's race again next year. I'm pretty upset about some of the things I see going on in the city, especially you know, things like garbage not getting picked up. I mean, we've got some neighborhoods in this city where there's illegal dumping going on, and I can't see that anything's being done about it. Our streets are still in awful shape. I think the thing that's upset me the most, frankly, has been that, you know, we passed this drainage fee. I guess it's going on 9 years ago now. It was supposed to fix all the drainage, and the city's been spending half that money every year on something other than drainage. Now, that's not right. I mean, that's what we were told it was going to be spent on.
Let's do what y'all told. Y'all said y'all were gonna do something.
Especially
Do
Hurricane
it.
Harvey just happened.
Well,
Yeah.
well, here's the thing. I think they've collected about $800 million. They spent about $400 million on drainage and $400 million on other. Well, I can't say. I guess since
Right,
it's a
roundabout.
family station, what it is, but yeah, it was not spent on drainage. Put it that way.
Right.
And the moral question we ought to be asking ourselves is, if that money had actually been spent on drainage, how many families would not have flooded in Harvey?
Come on. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, that's something that just sort of makes me a little ill to my stomach, but also makes me angry. That
Enough
we
so to do
had-
something about
That
it.
we had families that went through being flooded in Harvey just because that money was diverted to other uses, which is not what the public was promised when we authorized that money.
You know what I was disappointed about yesterday?
Right.
You know, would have been New Year's Eve. A lot of other cities and states had the fireworks. We didn't have a big grand fireworks downtown. And as I was sitting at home, I was like, man, we need to just.
But
get
why
all this
not,
business
though?
on- We're not putting the money where it needs to go, man. But I think that a lot of businesses, we can come together and invest in this and give something to the city. So why don't we have the fireworks? I don't know.
Bill King.
I don't know. I'm probably not the right
Oh.
person to ask about that.
You know what? I can feel the seriousness in your tone about how you feel about the garbage not being taken out the streets, not being clean,
Drainage.
the drainage fees and different things like that. There is definitely an energy from you that you want to change some things for the better. So with that being said, what kind of support would you look from the community to help you make that change that you want to see?
Well, look, I'll give you an example. Let's talk about the illegal dumping for a second.
Okay.
Because it is rampant in some parts of the city, and it's only in some parts of the city. And I was out in Acres Homes the other day, and I was talking to some city workers out there that picked this up. And the rules they've got to go through, it takes them about 3 or 4 months to pick up a pile of garbage on the side of the street.
That's a long
Now,
time.
man, let me ask you something. If there's a big pile of garbage like that in the middle of River Oaks Boulevard or
It ain't
Tanglewood
gonna happen.
Boulevard,
It's not
how long,
happening.
you think it'd sit there for 3 or 4 months before
No.
they picked it
Yeah,
up?
same day.
That's not
The
right.
same
We
day.
need to treat every neighborhood the same
That's
throughout
right.
this city. All taxpayers
Yeah.
need to be absolutely the same, and that's not what's going on.
Man, we got Bill King slapping his hand on the table.
I've done gone to preaching.
Yeah. But we need that. We need to know that. And you know, again, there are some things that people just don't know. There's some things that people want to be able to make change about and don't know who to talk to. You might be that person.
I also think that just after a while you get desensitized to it. You know, you think, well, there's always been illegal dumping here. I guess just nothing can be done about it, and nothing can be further from the truth. I mean, that is a problem we could solve in a few months if we actually tackled it and got on it and cared about it.
Mr. King, you ran in 2015, you lost. What do you plan to do different next year when you run?
Well, there's 2 or 3 things. You know, the last time I ran, I was basically running to talk about the city's finances, which are still in awful bad shape. When I got into the race, I had a 9% name ID and 3% of the vote. And my own pollster told me I needed to drop out because I had no chance of winning. And so we ended up losing by less than 0.5% at the end of the day. It's the closest mayor's race in the history of the city, by the way.
That's huge.
And so I think there were some things that we didn't do very well. Frankly, we didn't do, I think, a good enough job campaigning in the African American community. If you recall, we had Sylvester and Ben in that race, and so there was a lot of attention about the two. It was a little hard for a white guy to break into that dialogue going on. But I think, you know.
But you can if you're involved in the black community.
No,
if
absolutely.
you're there.
And I don't think that a lot of people in the community knew. I mean, like I've been on the TSU Board of Regents. Mickey, Leland, and I were buddies, traveled all around the world. In fact, I'll tell you something very weird. I was actually supposed to be on the plane with Mickey when he was killed.
What?
I was supposed to be in Africa with him.
God said no.
Nah, God said that we got other
We got more work for you to do, Bill King.
And that's city history right there. A lot of people don't know who Mickey Leland is. I actually used to work in the building, the Mickey Leland building downtown.
He was really one of the most unique individuals. I think Rodney introduced me to him way back. This would be like in the early '80s, and I'll never forget the call I got that night that said Mickey's plane's gone missing. And we all ran over the house and talked to Allison. And if you recall, it went for several days before they found the airplane.
Yeah.
With that being said, you know there's some things that you've got to do out here in Houston, Texas, for sure, to make the city better. So when? Starting now, starting today, how do we get a part? How do we be a part of your movement? How do we help Bill King make these changes that he's listed out today? How can we help you?
Well, obviously there's going to be a campaign this next year.
Yep.
But I'll tell you one thing that I think is really a problem is the pay to play at City Hall is out of control. The vendors and contractors contribute by far the majority of the contributions. And you know, in a lot of places around the country, that's not allowed. And so one thing I'm thinking about doing is starting a petition drive that would force City Council to adopt an ordinance that will either completely outlaw contributions to people who do business for the city, or at least would restrict them to, like, you know, a few $100s a year or something like that. I just don't think it's right when 70-80% of the campaign contributions come from people that are getting checks from City Hall. Now, you think those contributions aren't being factored into their cost and that we're not all paying for that?
Yeah.
But I mean,
so we
I'm
can
talking
support
about,
you by getting behind this petition that you may potentially create.
We're working on trying to put together all the legalities behind that right now, but